We're live, Mayor Bevels.
Okay, thank you, Deputy Clerk, and welcome to the 89th meeting of 7th Council of Municipality of South Dundas. Tonight's meeting is specifically to have our third discussion on the 2021 water wastewater budget. And we'll see by the end of the night if we can get this one done up for the implementation by the 1st of July. I'd like to have a roll call, please, Deputy Clerk.
Mayor Bevels.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Gardner.
Here.
Councillor Lewis.
Here.
Councillor Mellon.
Here.
And Councillor Wells has sent his regrets for council. Treasurer McMillan.
Here.
CAO Garrity.
Here.
Deputy Treasurer Mason.
Here.
Manager of Water and Wastewater of Villeneuve.
Here.
Thanks, Mayor Bevels.
Okay, thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature of thereof this evening? Seeing none, we'll move on to discussion items. And once again, as I mentioned earlier, we will be discussing for the third time the water wastewater budget. We've sent it back twice to staff for a review. It's certainly been a challenge for council and staff to get the rates into somewhere where they are palatable, and with all the challenges we are having with some of the aging infrastructure we have in our villages. So I'll turn this meeting over to our treasurer, Sarah. Welcome, Sarah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So I'm just going to share my screen. I have a short slideshow tonight. Apologies in advance. I'm not the most technologically inclined, so hoping that works. You see everybody see that okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So my intention this evening is to hopefully clear up any remaining confusion on the rate increases and bring attention to the reasons why the rate increases are necessary. So I'll start with a brief overview of what is included in the budget documents provided in the council agenda in terms of rates. So first thing is the proposed rates have a July 1st implementation date, and that has been reflected in the spreadsheets you've been provided with in your council agenda. The rates included are what was discussed at the last water and wastewater budget meeting. So starting July 1st and for the remainder of 2021, the water flat rate increases by $7.50 per month, and the water capital levy increases by 23 cents per meter cubed. The wastewater surcharge remains the same at 75% for Morrisburg and 100% for Iroquois. So that would equate to $5.62 for Morrisburg and $7.50 for Iroquois for wastewater purposes. So to give a visual for the increases, this is how the numbers would be reflected on the RSL utility bill for the average average residential or small commercial water user. So this is with a 5/8 meter and 11 meters cubed of usage per month. So the total monthly increase for Morrisburg is $15.65 and then $17.53 for Iroquois. This chart you can see in your council package on page 12. So as I understand from the feedback that I received, there's some confusion as to why the rates need to increase and what would the rate increases specifically fund. So I'm going to give you the broad explanation, and then I can drill down on a few specific reasons as to why the increases are necessary. So the first reason, and I understand that some of you, if not most of you, might be sick of hearing the words asset management, but unfortunately, it is not going away, and it needs to be consideration every time a decision is being made. Asset management is the broad reason for the proposed flat rate increase. We have a water and sewer system that's historic cost is over $7 million. And what's important to remember about that is historic cost is not replacement cost. So for example, we have 2 kilometers of water main in Morrisburg that's historic cost is $1,500. In today's dollars, that wouldn't even get us the shovel in the ground for a water break. I think it's also important to understand that it's unrealistic to have the expectation that we'll be able to fully fund our asset management plan given the amount of infrastructure that we have. So what we need to do and what we can do is make an effort to build our reserves and leverage any additional funding that does come our way. So we do have dollars available for replacements as they come due. We have lots of aging infrastructure below ground, or Ontario streets, if you will, and there are lots of repairs and replacements that will need to occur in the future. So drilling down into a more specific reason for the rate increase is the Carmen Road water main, which everyone's aware of. Once we have the Class A estimate, staff will be in a better position to provide a recommendation to council as to how to fund this project. But again, what we can do in the meantime is build our reserves so we have dollars available for this specific project. On the slide, you can see that this project specifically, we have our 2021 top-up dollars from gas tax, which is $330,000. We have the projected transfer for 2021 of $124,000. We have our 2020 surplus, which is $185,000. So that brings our total to what we are projecting to have at year end of $639,000. And then once again, once we have the Class A in hand, we'll be in a better position to determine our financing plan for this. So continuing with specific reasons for the flat rate increase, I wanted to bring the following pictures to council's attention. So these photos are from the water break on Farlinger last week. So the one photo shows the hole in the pipe where it burst, and the second shows the degree of scaling within the pipe. So essentially it's bringing a 6-inch pipe down to 4 inches. And this is just 4 feet of water network that is below ground. This pipe, it's from the 1950s, and the roads listed in the slide are all examples of roads with similar pipe and similar age that are underground. So for Morrisburg, there's Laurier, Park, Kyle, Castleman, Broder, and Lyons. And some examples for Iroquois are Davis, Browse, Codwell, Church, and Ann. So this is why it's important that the municipality is continually contributing to our reserves. The underground infrastructure can and will fail, so we need to start preparing the best we can for future replacements. Does council have any questions at this time? If you want me to stop or continue?
Anybody have questions at this time? Just speak up, please. Hearing none. Okay.
So moving on to the water budget. So I hope council has had a chance to give the budget package a read through. What staff have intended to do with this document is to give council and our ratepayers a detailed look at how the rates implemented fund the operating and capital expenses and the reserve transfers within the budget to present the balanced budget. I understand it might still be a little complicated, but it is hard to bring the budget, especially a water budget, into simpler terms without leaving out what I think is essential information. So in the chart on this slide, you can see how the revenue generated through the flat rate and consumption rate fund the operating and capital expenses and the transfers to reserves. So all debt contained within the water budget is covered through the water capital levy, the Romax debenture, and water connection fees. So that's why you don't see this on this particular chart. So there's a few things specifically that I wanted to discuss for the water budget. First thing is the changes to the budget since we last looked at it. So the rate revenue has changed. So we've adjusted it with a July 1st implementation. And we've also added in the summer student and the grant funding as discussed at the May 10th meeting. The transfer to reserves has also been changed to balance the budget. I also wanted to address a question I received regarding increasing the fixed rate instead of the consumption rate, or doing a combination of the two. So the simplest answer for increasing the fixed rate is that it is guaranteed dollars. So regardless of how much consumption there is in any given month, the fixed rate is a guaranteed source of income where consumption is solely based on how much water is used. When looking at the expenses of the water budget, the majority of the expenses are fixed costs. So regardless of the amount of water used in the year, we still have to pay wages, we still have to pay utilities, we still have to pay our taxes and insurance, repair water line breaks, and pay for meter reading. Whereas with our variable costs like chemicals, they're dependent on how much water is treated and ultimately consumed. So looking forward to 2022 rates, we can look at adjusting the consumption rate instead of solely another fixed rate increase, where we look to having the larger water users pay for more because they are using more water if council wishes. But again, the intention behind this rate increase is obtaining a guaranteed source of income for our immediate need, which would be Carmen Road. Is there any questions on the water budget?
Any questions from council at this time? Okay, go on then, Sarah. We'll see if we have later, so.
So just on this slide, I have a summary for both of the wastewater systems of what is included in the budget. So like water, the budgeted revenues have changed since our last meeting, so they're adjusted to for the July 1st implementation. And for Morseburg, the surcharge is at 75%. It has 1,385 users. It equates to a $5.62 per month increase with a $124,000 projected surplus. And then it funds $422,000 worth of operations, $45,000 in capital, and $154,000 in transfers. For Iroquois, the surcharge is at 100%. There's 762 users. It's a $7.50 per month increase. There is a projected deficit of $3,400, and the rates fund $406,000 of operations, zero capital, and $48,000 in transfers. So the last slide I have is just next steps. If council is comfortable with what is presented in this budget, what we'll be going forward is our communication to the ratepayers, which would be at a level 4, which is the comprehensive plan that Kaylin presented to council a few meetings ago, and how we're going to do our communications. So it include items on our website. So it would be like the budget package that's presented to council. We're also working right now on some additional asset management information. There'll be an insert in the utility bill, and we'll also be doing a newspaper ad and probably some social media posts. The bylaws will be coming back to council to the June 4th meeting for passing. And that's all I have. I'll stop sharing my screen. I can.
Okay, thanks, Sarah, for now. So I'll go around the table. Deputy Mayor Gardner, please. Anything?
Thanks, Mayor Byveld. No, thank you so much, Sarah. That explanation and everything was much clearer. And I think that the focus on the what's coming ahead, the aging infrastructure, and how important it is to make sure that we're prepared to deal with that. I think it would be blatantly irresponsible not to do so. So thank you. I really liked your addition of the additional streets that are also covered in that 1950s plus infrastructure and kind of that moving ahead. And I really appreciate that. And I'm thrilled to see that, you know, level 4 communication and a strong package, and continue with the theme that you presented to us, which is just focusing on that infrastructure coming around the corner. Because I mean, this council could be everyone's favorite council and just not do anything, and that's irresponsible. So I really appreciate your presentation. You hit it. Thank you.
Council Lewis.
No, I have no questions. The only thing I have to say, Sarah, is the explanation that you made tonight was a heck of a lot clearer than it was last time around. And I guess at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do to keep everything operating to the best of its capability. And yeah, the 50s, it catches up with all of us. That's all I'm going to say. Thank you.
Councilor Melton?
Yeah, like, I mean, I was, it wants to be the Grinch, I guess, if you will, to have the increases. But I think the residents or the users that pay this have to realize that, you know, we're been sitting on a ticking time bomb now for a while, and I think Ontario Street just emphasizes it. The water main at Carmen Road, we just don't have the money and to fix these things. And we have pipe in the ground that's over 70 years old, and it's going to be failing and is failing. And unless we have the money to fix it, it would be irresponsible, I think, to try and take on extra debt load to try and fix this. I mean, it isn't fair to the rate users, and nobody wants to see a rate increase. But at the end of the day, we need the money, and this budget has no wants, if you will. It's all needs in that budget. So there's nothing in there that, you know, is, you know, frivolous or, you know, not needed. So it is what it is. You know, we got the 750 increase from July 1st on, and we'll, you know, have to look at it once we get that Class A estimate for Carmen, the water main in Carmen Road, and you know, hopefully we can, you know, get away with the money. I mean, you know, we have enough money there to fix what we need to fix, and when it breaks, and it is going to break, and there's absolutely no doubt about it. Those pictures just, you know, emphasizes that. So, you know, it is what it is, you know. We just got to fix it, you know, and that's been one of the things all along the years I've been on council. Nobody really wants to build up the levels and the reserves that has been needed. We take little snips at it here and there, but it's come to the point now that I think, you know, and Sarah, you know, explained it very well. So we have to have the money there. Otherwise, we're going to have major water main breaks and sewer line breaks, and just no money there to fix it. So that's all I got there, Bibles.
Well, I do appreciate the effort you and your staff put in, Sarah, into making the budget a little bit more presentable. It certainly has a better demonstration of what our needs actually are. And I think that picture of the main on Farlinger is something that you need to put in some of your billing insert to demonstrate to people that this is our problem, and that's why we need the money. You know, we've had our discussions about asset management, and excuse me, I understand why the previous government started that, and I still don't have an issue with the whole concept of asset management. But when you have increases like this, it's really challenging to us as councillors and the wastewater users, that I don't think they mind putting money ahead and aside for the breaks like the Carmen Road or the Farlinger streets of the world. And they all understand that, you know, the infrastructure in our villages is in poor shape for the most part, and we're trying our best to keep them fixed up. I think the best thing not to worry about, though, is our three plants, which are fairly new until they're paid for. And once they are paid for, you certainly have to start putting money aside for not only repairs, but having at least some of the portion you need 50 years or less than 50 years down the road now to replace them. And I know none of us will have to worry about that, but that was the whole concept behind asset management and making sure we have the money set aside. But as I said, that's easier said than done sometimes. And when the roof is leaking, you got to fix the roof. It doesn't matter about worrying about the next house or the addition you'd like to put on. It's just like this winter when the furnace broke at my place. There wasn't a choice. Yeah, I had a choice in furnaces, but I didn't have a choice about putting the furnace in. It had to be done. So, and the money had to be found. And luckily, I do have reserve accounts to do that, but not everybody does. And rates like this will certainly hit the people on lower incomes harder than those on higher incomes. And I apologize for it, but we have to do what we have to do. I don't disagree. I'm glad that you took the reserves from our recent audit and put them into some use within our budgets because people would have been asking, and putting it aside for Carmen Road for next year will certainly help. What I will ask from all staff working on water and wastewater, and I know they have a very important job, and I know Dennis does a very good job of managing his department, is that if there's places they can save money during operations, and I did look through the budget numbers again, and they did save money in places, and other places there were very few places over budget, a lot of places under budget, so there could have been some cost savings, but I also realize that every dollar we save will end up going back into reserves for capital use. One of the things that we are building for, and I don't know how much money we have set aside, is for a building for the spare parts and equipment. So I'm not sure where that's at, but this is the year maybe we need to take that money and put it somewhere else if we need it for Carmen Road. We need to be a little bit more creative when we get to there. I understand we wouldn't really want to do any further debt on that, but we certainly don't want to do a job that somebody down the road is going to say, why didn't you just spend the extra money and get it done right first time? So well presented. Please do your best along with Kaylin on demonstrating to the ratepayers that the rates are going up because of this. I think people will get it when you show them some of the challenges we are having, and we're not trying to hide it. If we did, we could have said, no, we won't worry about it. We'll just let it go blow up, and somebody else can worry about it. I think we've been responsible up to now, and we're going to continue being responsible till the end of our term. So with that, I think we have something that we can certainly present to council on June the 14th. And as I said, the key will be communications. Spending a few extra dollars there when you have rate increases like this will be well worth it. It'll save not only calls to us, but calls to you as staff, because they're going to ask, it's big numbers. It's other municipalities have to do it. We end up having to do it. Let's try to demonstrate that we're doing it the best we can. Anything further from any member of council at this time? Anything further from you, Sarah?
Nope.
Anything from CEO Garrity at this time?
No, nothing further, Mayor Byfolds.
Okay, I see the manager of water wastewater is on. Dennis, do you have any comments, questions, concerns at this time?
No, I have nothing. I'm just glad to see, like you said, Sarah showed the picture of the Farlinger Street there, and like I say, we had a break last week there. It's nice to see that you guys understand the severity of the pipes and stuff like that. So it was well presented, Sarah. Anyways, I have nothing further.
Okay, and as I said, you and your crew do a good job. This might be the year where you think twice about spending anything extra. You do what you need to do. Never cut corners, never cut corners, never cut corners, but work as efficiently as possible to get the job done. That's the way I would look at it. If there's nothing further from any member of council this time, then we will just call for the adjournment. So before I ask Deputy Clerk to read the adjournment motion, I'd like to thank council for their work tonight. I'd like to especially thank Sarah and her staff. I see Sean's on, so thank you for both your work. I'm sure that you spent some long days trying to make this work for us, and we do appreciate that. And Dennis, we all appreciate the work you do at the facilities. With that, Deputy Clerk.
Thank you, Mayor Byfolds. Moved by Deputy Mayor Gardner, seconded by Councillor Lewis, that council now adjourn to meet again at the call of the chair.
All heard the motion. Those in favor? Opposed of any? Motion carries. So thank you very much once again, and thanks to the audience for participating tonight. Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.